What's one thing you regret the most?
I don't know. One thing I regret the most,
Yes.
the under the lack of understanding of black people.
So apparently, Trump thinks that teaching about slavery is woke. Like, sir, slavery happened before Wi-Fi, TikTok, and even your spray tan formula. How is history somehow political? The Smithsonian teaching kids about slavery isn't woke. It's literally just facts. Saying slavery is bad isn't some leftist agenda. It's just called reality. When a leader calls history woke, it's about protecting their power. Because if people don't know the truth, they're easier to control. So no, slavery isn't woke. It's just history. And ignoring it, that's the real agenda.
This video is going to trigger a lot of white people, but I don't care. I think that white people actually suffer from inferiority complex. And so the reason why they have always been trying to prove themselves as superior, controlling, colonize, steal from cultures, accaparate, appropriate other cultures is because, first of all, they've been unable to keep their own cultures. They've destroyed, they've ruined their own practices, their own spirituality, their own forms of wisdom. And so they try to steal that from other cultures and other people because they just were unable to accept that their culture was devoid of actual wisdom. Their barbarity and cruelty destroyed their own essence and souls. And so they try to reclaim that by coming into other cultures and trying to steal that from other cultures and trying to install this sort of supremacy and white excellence in order to dominate the narrative. But in reality, they are the ones that at the core are just so small and materialistic and devoid of culture and barbaric in their way, in their self-expression and in the way that they connect with life, with Mother Nature, with other cultures and other people. They destroy their own souls and they have nothing to connect to, nothing divine, nothing magical, nothing whimsical, nothing spiritual to connect to. And so they try to push this narrative of materialism, of atheism, of capitalism, all of that in order to secure themselves in their emptiness, in their nothingness. And they try to force that onto other cultures. And when it didn't work, well, they just started stealing the knowledge of other cultures, the other spiritual forms of other cultures, the magic, and created some new age BS in order to reclaim something, to feel something, but it's just not real and it's not a real essence. Like, they just are devoid of that because of their inferiority complex.
Hey lovelies, welcome back to Afrojudy. I hope you all are having a wonderful time wherever you are watching this video from. Some of the palm-colored people are suffering from white supremacy and also admitting the fact that whiteness won't save them in America. And some are also scared of becoming the minority as some ethnic groups are succeeding or leaving them behind. And that's why they're saying that if they continue considering themselves to be so superior as compared to other races, then there is no day they will grow, because right now white supremacy is only benefiting the richer in America while the poorer are suffering, regardless of the race, whether you are palm colored, whether you are brown, black. It doesn't care about you. It only cares about the richer in America. So guys, let's dive in straight to the video. Kindly give the video a thumbs up and also subscribe if you're coming across the channel for the very first time.
When people ask me why I was such a diehard Trump supporter, this was the reason why. because of this comment right here. I felt like this. I felt like that in 2024 that white men were the only people who were legally discriminated against. In fact, I'll take it a step further. It was the white, straight, Christian, conservative male that would be discriminated against in 2024 in the United States of America. We had tolerance for everyone else but us. And truth be told, it wasn't until I realized how ignorant and uneducated I truly was that I began to think and feel and live differently. Growing up in a society and a system that by design centers and caters white, straight, Christian males, anytime you see any other type of inclusivity, any type of diversity, equity, and inclusion, it will begin to feel like oppression. And that's sad that this is the truth about the world that we live in today. And people say all the time that if we just stop talking about racism, that it will go away. People believe that because they don't experience interpersonal racism, that it doesn't exist on an institutional or a systemic level. But it's because of comments like this that we know it's alive and well. People will be like, well, we don't have a white entertainment channel, or we don't have historically white colleges. We don't have a white history month. We don't have white-owned businesses. When literally whiteness has been the standard in this country since the birth of the nation. I remember when I first started seeing interracial commercials, and I would get so mad, I'd be so triggered. And I'd say things to myself and to friends and family, I don't care what you do, I don't care about interracial dating, but why do they have to shove this down our throat? And the same thing with gay pride or trans talk. I would get so triggered, I don't care what you do, but why do you have to shove it down our throat? But could you imagine for 1 second being a member of one of these marginalized groups growing up in this country? What it must feel like to have whiteness or straightness or Christianity shoved down your throat every single second of the day? And then when you begin to question it or try to create a safe space for yourself, you're told to go live in another country if you don't like it. Or stop being the victim. Or don't blame the system, you need to take personal accountability. And this is the question I have for people who get upset about it, because I know a lot of people in my everyday life are still upset about it. Why are you so triggered? How hard is it to deconstruct and re-educate? And why are we so afraid to do so? Are we that insecure? Are we that fragile? Are we that mediocre that we cannot compete in a world that has a level playing field and equal opportunity for every single person? I mean, hell, if we really think about it, if we really want to get mad, we need to get mad at our ancestors. We had a 400-year head start, and many of us are still living in the trailer park. But for real though, why does inclusivity feel like oppression to us? Why do we get so triggered? Why do we think it's a zero-sum game? Why do we look at it as a piece of pie in which if somebody else gets a piece of the pie that we don't get our piece? And I have a very unpopular belief that I'm going to share with you, and I stand on it, and many people are going to be triggered by this. But in 2024, if you're white in America, you're racist. Unless you've actively chosen to do the work to become less racist. But by default, if you're born into this system with our institutions, the way that we are taught, programmed, and conditioned, through no fault of your own, you have been taught and programmed to be racist. And this is why education is so important. And don't take it personal. I'm not attacking your character unless you willfully refuse to learn. I'm attacking your education and your beliefs. And I challenge you to become willing to see the world from a different perspective. That's all. That simple. So ask yourself this question. One simple question. Are you up for the task? Are you willing to learn?
I think everyone in the United States needs to hear what I'm about to say. Please use all the buttons here to make sure they do. The United States is and always has been a white supremacist nation, and the Constitution is a white supremacist document. It is made of racism. It permeates every aspect of the document. It was the central defining feature of the negotiations when they were writing the Constitution. The Three-Fifths Compromise, the existence of the Senate, the powers of the federal government versus the state government, and those things which tried to carve out space for states that wanted slaves and states that didn't, those compromises were about preserving white supremacy. They were about preserving the economic system of slavery, sure, but these people, each and every one of them, with exceedingly rare exceptions, were committed deeply to the idea that if your skin was white, and by white they meant English, not the Irish, not the Poles, Germans, Italians, or anybody else who today we consider to be white. But if your skin was white, like English white, then you were a whole person. And if it wasn't white, you were not. And you had no rights. Add on top of that, that if you were a woman, you didn't have rights either. We have piecemeal made small changes over the course of our entire history as a country to try and rectify the terrible, inhuman decisions of the founders and the documents that they wrote. It is past due for us to rewrite the Constitution, to draft a new Constitution, and to leave the white supremacist Constitution behind. And in order to do that, we have to ditch the white supremacists who occupy our government. I want to be the youngest president in American history, your next president, whether we have an election in 2028 or not. If you would like to rewrite the Constitution and join us and help us with this movement fighting the fascists, use my link tree and send your email into Praxis Accord. That's who I would like to be. Jasmine Crockett said we need the safest white boy, and a very sweet black lady said that it seems like I might be the safest white boy. For the record, my wife agrees. She's white too, so her opinion doesn't count for as much. But all I care about is justice and goodness and safety and providing for people in need, being kind, being right, serving justice. I care about the law. I would be willing to break the U.S. Constitution in order to save this country and the people in it. I believe in law as a concept. I believe in rights as an ideal. I am not beholden to the documents and the laws that we currently have. And if I were your president, the project would be making sure that we never end up in this position ever again by writing new laws. I hope that you agree.
I find it absolutely hilarious that people think that being white is the superior race, because I'm currently suffering from sunburn right now from being outside for 30 minutes, and I don't think I've ever drawn an entirely successful breath through my nose. Don't even get me started on aging or the fact that you can see every single flaw in my skin, and part of our beauty standard is to be darker. Now, I'm lucky to only have one missing lip, but it does still successfully perform whenever I pass people on the street. Our history is nothing but colonization and shame, and I think the only culturally significant tradition that I actually practice is losing every survival instinct I have whenever I see a large fluffy animal. We are not the superior race. We are what happens when the gene pool gets diluted and moves north long enough to start processing milk. I'm going to need some of y'all to realize that and to understand that the only people who believe in white supremacy are white people. Let me say that with smaller words. If we actually were better than everyone else, we wouldn't have to convince people that we are. They're laughing at you. I am too.
All right, lovelies, welcome back. There is something which is not quite often being mentioned by the media, the white poverty. Because most of the time I always hear them mentioning black people being poor, the black poverty, but when it comes to white poverty, there is kind of way the media is suppressing it. But right now, everything is being revealed in a broad daylight, and in fact, majority of the palm colored people are the ones coming out online filming themselves that they can't afford a life, they can't continue living that way, and they're even asking black people how they have been surviving in that system for all those years. They thought that perhaps the white supremacy will save them in the United States, only for them to come to realize that it's saving the richer in the United States, while the middle class and the poorer are suffering as usual. That's the main reason as to why majority of the palm colored people are coming out online to use their voices to tell other white folks that if they continue to consider themselves to be so superior as compared to other races, they will be lagging behind while other ethnic groups continue succeeding each and every day, that they should change their ways of living. And if they don't do that, they will embrace the consequences of their own actions, because they know the current government really doesn't care about anyone in America except if you are richer in America. Many of the palm colored people are working 60, 70 hours a week. They're really trying their best, but still they can't afford life. And this is what the black folks have been experiencing in the United States for all that period of time. And now, some also are admitting the fact that black people deserve reparation, that they must be paid, because you know how slavery was. And if they get paid that money, it will honestly help them. But some are so much against black people reparations, and even some of the African countries want black Americans reparation. Even white supremacy is hidden in Christianity, because there is how the church embraces it, and it really doesn't want to come out and tell people that this is what it is. Sometimes it's better to call it the way it's supposed to be called, rather than hiding behind the closed doors. And majority of the palm colored people are admitting how racist they have always been towards the black people behind the closed doors. But when they go outside, they pretend to be good people. But when they are with the black people, they pretend to be so good. When they're alone in their houses or their workplaces, that's how racism begins. But some of them always criticize those who are practicing racism towards the black people. I think these are the woke white people who have come to realize that racism won't save them. And in fact, the current government, they know it very well. If majority of the palm colored people right now are coming to admit that the government of the United States is a white supremacy government, it's not a shock, because this is what the black people have been knowing for quite a long period of time. And even tried to warn some of these palm colored people, but they never listened. They even never accepted that America is led by white supremacists. And again, there are some of the people, the palm colored people, who are in those white supremacy groups and now coming online and admitting how, or exposing how, they were being taught during those days to treat people. And it really didn't help them. They are really trying to deconstruct from it. And especially this man, the man in the video, one of the clips, I went through his page and he said that when he went to the prison, the way other black people were being treated there was not good. And the prisons nowadays, they still practice those white supremacies. They are still racially profiling the black folks in prisons. And that's why most of the time you can find out that some palm colored people, they do mistake, even little mistake, but they will be spared. But what is if it's a black folk who does that? He or she will immediately be jailed. He or she will immediately be arrested by the police. Like, for instance, during the protests, you've seen whatever have been happening in the United States. The main target are always black people. I've seen majority of the black men, the young black women being arrested, being handcuffed by the police just because they used their voices in the streets, just because they were protesting with other people, just because they were filming whatever was happening during the protest, while the police is sparing other ethnic groups. To mean the black people have always been the target. And if you go through the history of the all the black people in the United States, be it the Black Americans, the FBAs, the Native Americans as well, the indigenous, all the people of color in the United States, you will know how they have been suffering and they are still suffering. And that's why they have been using some survival tactics in the United States, which the palm colored people are asking them, how have you been surviving? Because if you have been living, or if you are from a richer family, then you start experiencing some hardship in life, you'll start questioning, how will I start in life? How will I overcome all these experiencing right now? Because other people have been experiencing it and they know how to maneuver, but it's your first time to do it. This is what is happening in the United States, especially to the palm colored people, because some of them thought that suffering is only for the black people until it started happening to them, and still they started experiencing whatever black people have been experiencing in the United States. So when it comes to housing, black people, they are denied some opportunities. The wealth gap between the palm colored people and the black people is quite different, and this is what these palm colored people have been trying to talk about in these videos. They are trying to use their voices, they are trying to call out whatever been happening in their communities, and yet some of them are calling these people the sellouts just because they admitted whatever is happening between their communities to black folks. So guys, let me know what you think in the comment section about this video. Thank you so much for watching this video. I honestly appreciate your massive love and support. Let's keep the conversation going and also respectful. I'm your presenter, Judy. Until next time, peace and love.